12,300 years ago, someone crouched beside a fire in what is now the Utah desert. The Ice Age was ending. Mammoths still lived in North America. Farming and metal tools did not exist here. When the flames died, almost everything that happened beside them vanished. Almost. Thousands of years later, archaeologists opened the ancient hearth and found 4 charred tobacco seeds among broken animal bones and stone tools. No pipe, no written explanation, only 4 seeds, and a question archaeology may never answer. Had someone accidentally dropped tobacco into the flames? Or were humans deliberately using smoke before they built the first cities? To find the first smoker, we have to follow evidence designed to disappear. The trail begins not with a pipe, but with ash, chemistry, and a human decision. Stone remembers, smoke does not. A spear point can survive for millennia. A leaf burns in seconds. Wood decays. Breath leaves nothing. That is why the beginning of smoking cannot be dated like pottery or the wheel. The oldest clue begins with humanity's relationship to fire. Research from Wonderwork Cave in South Africa has identified repeated burning deep inside the cave between roughly 1.07 and 1.79 million years ago. Because the burned material lay about 30 meters from the ancient entrance, researchers argue natural grass fires could not have reached it. Early hominins, probably Homo erectus, carried fire into the darkness. That does not prove intentional smoking. It proves that for over 1 million years, human ancestors lived close enough to flames to learn that different materials produce different smells and effects. Sooner or later, somebody noticed. Return to the Wishbone site in Utah. The tobacco seeds were discovered inside a hearth dated to approximately 12,300 years ago, the earliest known archaeological evidence of human tobacco use. But the researchers were careful. The seeds could have entered the fire after tobacco was chewed, burned deliberately, or used in some other way. The find does not show someone inhaling. It does show hunter-gatherers interacting with tobacco about 9,000 years earlier than previous evidence had established. Tobacco was not first encountered by a settled farmer experimenting in a village. People knew the plant while following animals across an Ice Age landscape. They found it, carried it to camp, and brought it close to the fire. But 4 seeds can only suggest. To prove intentional inhalation, we need the equipment, the chemicals, and the ritual to survive together. That evidence appears thousands of miles away, inside graves high in the mountains of Central Asia. Around 500 BCE, mourners gathered at Jirzenkail Cemetery in the Pamir Mountains. They placed cannabis inside wooden braziers filled with heated stones. Scientists later analyzed residue from those braziers and detected chemical markers from cannabis. The plants also showed signs of stronger psychoactive compounds than typical wild varieties. This was not a cooking accident. The braziers were part of funeral ceremonies, and the smoke was likely inhaled inside enclosed spaces. It is among the clearest early evidence for cannabis being burned for psychoactive effects. The dead were being buried. The living were changing their state of mind. Smoke had become more than a byproduct. It had become a tool for crossing an invisible boundary. Centuries before chemical testing, the Greek writer Herodotus described a similar practice among the Scythians. After a burial, he wrote, people entered felt-covered structures, placed hemp on hot stones, and reacted intensely to the vapor. Such passages were easy to dismiss as travelers' exaggeration. But Herodotus had preserved an extraordinary scene from the 5th century BCE. Early smoking did not always mean holding a pipe. It could mean a group inside a tent, a plant on heated stone, and the entire room becoming the inhalation device. If this is changing how you picture ancient life, hit the like button and subscribe. We uncover the moments when ordinary human habits first entered history. Because smoking did not begin as a break from work. In many cultures, it was connected to medicine, ceremony, and the invisible world. In the Americas, tobacco developed deep cultural importance long before European arrival. Archaeologists have detected nicotine inside ancient stone pipes from the Columbia River Basin, confirming that indigenous hunter-gatherers smoked native tobacco centuries before outside trade introduced domesticated varieties to the region. But ancient tobacco use cannot be reduced to modern recreation. Across different indigenous societies, tobacco could be offered, exchanged, used in healing, or included in agreements and ceremonies. Practices varied enormously. The plant belonged to a social framework. Who prepared it, when it was used, and what the smoke meant could matter as much as its chemical effect. Smoke rose and vanished. That made it a powerful symbol, a substance leaving the human world and entering the sky. In 1492, Europeans reaching the Caribbean encountered a practice indigenous Americans had known for thousands of years. Members of Columbus's expedition observed local people inhaling tobacco smoke, part of an established system. Europe did not invent smoking. It removed tobacco from its original contexts, carried it across oceans, and turned it into a global commodity. By the 16th century, Europeans promoted tobacco as medicine and pleasure. Later, plantations, colonial trade, mechanized production, and the cigarette transformed occasional or ceremonial consumption into a product available almost everywhere. The decisive invention was no longer inhaling smoke. It was making repetition effortless. We will probably never know. The first intentional smoker left no name, no surviving explanation, and perhaps no pipe. It may have been a healer testing a plant, a mourner entering a smoke-filled shelter, a hunter throwing chewed leaves into a fire, or someone who noticed that one plant changed pain, hunger, attention, or dreams, and chose to repeat the experience. That choice was the real invention. The recognition that breath could carry a plant's effects directly into the body. Return to the Utah hearth. The people are gone. Dust and centuries cover the campsite until only tools, bone, ash, and 4 blackened seeds remain. Those seeds cannot tell us whether anyone inhaled the smoke, but they reveal something unmistakable. Long before cities, writing, or agriculture reshaped daily life, humans were already exploring plants for reasons beyond nutrition. By the time written history began, smoke was serving ritual, medicine, identity, and altered consciousness across distant societies. Modern smoking looks familiar because the physical act survived. Its meaning changed. What was once rare, controlled, and embedded in ceremony could eventually be manufactured, packaged, and repeated throughout the day. The first smoker may have approached the flame with curiosity. The modern industry learned how to sell that curiosity back to humanity. Hit the like button if this changed how you see the history of smoking. Share it with someone who thinks the story began with cigarettes, and subscribe for more mysteries hidden inside everyday behavior. Then comment below. Was smoking invented when someone first inhaled a plant? Or when someone understood the feeling and chose to do it again?